Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to another episode of the Science of Farming show. We are so excited to have you all back again. Sister Melody, we are so honored to be back with you all, our audience. We have a beautiful, very special guest today. She is Sister Colette, and she is with Colette from Canning with Colette. And we'd like to welcome you, dear sister, to the show. Yes, we're so excited to have you once again. And we're going to jump right into the show because, as we know, time tends to just fly right on by. Now, I do want to mention that today is a pre-recorded show, audience. So although you're looking at us on a Tuesday, you won't be able to answer or ask any questions today. So you will be able to ask Sister Colette questions directly. So I want to give you her information right now. We're going to go ahead and post it, and we'll share it again at the end of the show. So we do have a flyer with her information, and we encourage you to ask Sister Colette right away. Send all of your questions to her at Canning with Colette or www.canningwithcolette.com. And I am sure our beloved sister will be happy to answer your questions. And Sister Colette, let me jump in real quickly. I do want to ask you where it says, go back to that flyer. Yes, where it says before. Go back to the flyer, please. Thank you. It has some initials on there. Okay, can you explain that?
Okay, so can while you can before SHTF, before stuff hits the fan.
Right.
Talking about it kind of rhymes. Can while you can before stuff hits the fan.
The fan, right. Look, like they say, bars.
Okay, little bars there,
yes.
But the stuff is the stuff that we are in, that we are experiencing, the day of judgment that we are in. So it really has hit the fan, to be honest. And so you need to be canning now.
Yes, ma'am. And we're going to talk more about your canning and the training that you do with the canning, because we do want to encourage our audience to participate in that canning if you have not canned at all, or like you say, if you just need a refresher to get back going again. Right. So now we'll go ahead and jump in our questions. Sister Melody, you want to get us started?
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you, sister, for joining us. I had the pleasure of bearing witness to, what you do several times at different conferences, Brother Ghazi's conference in particular, and your whole setup and everything was just awesome. And just wanted to say thank you for joining us. So I know that the minister had, asked us and instructed us, if you will, to can. Sisters can. So I just the first question want to know is, what inspired you, sister, to take this role of almost like a leader in it and to go so far with it? Because you like the queen of canning. And I know because I'm coming to you, sister.
Yes.
So tell us what motivated you to just really take on this role.
All praise is due to Allah, and thank you again for inviting me to come on your beautiful platform. I'm highly honored. Thank you so much. And yes, that is one of my favorite questions to answer, actually, because I have to. It allows me to go back to where I learned in the first place. Okay, and so I learned, as many of us learned that are in the Nation of Islam, and female, we learn in our MGT class, which stands for Muslim Girls in Training. And so we have a general civilization class with 7 units. And one of those units is how to cook. And so we happened to be in our how to cook class, and we were being taught how to can under the instruction and guidance of the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. And so that's actually how I learned. So there are some people who have already knew how to can. Some people, it was in their family, their mother can. So that's not my experience. So I'm kind of like my grandmother can, but I never seen her can.
Right.
And my mom did not carry that on. She never can. She talked about it, but I never seen it. So that's not my story. So all praise is due to Allah for the class, right? And so it was probably around 2015 or so, 2016, around that time that we were in that class, and it was quite a curriculum actually. So it wasn't just like a class, it was a curriculum, So we were learning everything, as you may remember, everything from kitchen safety to food safety, all of that, nutrition, before we even touched the canner. So it was a lot that we learned before we ever even got into the kitchen and started canning. And so that's why I say it was quite a curriculum. And, we had to learn several recipes. We had to master those recipes. And then to even move on in the class, we had to produce a certain amount of jars, right? To even move on. So it was quite a class. And so for myself, after completing that class, and I always share this, I was really exhausted, to be honest. I was like, I passed, praise be to Allah. And again, another thing, transparency, I didn't do a lot of canning after that. I really was just like, wow, that was a lot, And so every now and then, a little jelly here or there, or maybe some navy beans, but I wasn't really like building up my pantry like that. But then what was happening is, just paying attention to what was going on, in this world that we now live in. And we were getting a weekly reminder to can something, right? Mm-hmm. As we still do to this day, get a weekly reminder to can something. And it started to weigh on me. I'm just like, oh my God, when the minister gives an instruction and we're getting this told to us weekly, I'm like, wow. I'm like, I'm not being obedient. Like, oh my God. And I was feeling bad about it, and my self-accusing spirit was starting to get to me. So that's when I was like, okay, I got to really pick this thing up again. And so I started, really getting back into it. And what happened was, once I, got a deeper understanding of canning and really understanding why the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was giving us this instruction, I said, okay, I got to go back for my people now. How many other sisters or how many other individuals are struggling with this or have a lack of confidence, or, it's just been a while and now they're rusty and now they're nervous about it, and scared to can, because I hear it all the time, like, oh, I'm kind of scared. Yeah. I took it on like, okay, I'm going to go back for my people, my community, and bring this to them. But just in my way, I try, I teach in a more, I get right to it, I'm like a crash course, like we're going to get our hands in it today. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I just try to make it fun, exciting, any way that I can reach my people. So that is pretty much the foundation, and that's why I'm doing it. So yeah, that's the answer to that question.
Beautiful. You're absolutely right. It was a lot. And I think a lot of us kind of took a break after it because it was quite intense. And so I understand completely. And I thank you so much for even thinking of, because, we're taught to not only consider ourselves, but our people. Mm-hmm. So holding a candy class is absolutely awesome. Again, for a refresher, because mm-hmm. we do deal with that pressure canner, which can be quite intimidating if you haven't. It was intimidating in class to handle. So can you imagine, trying to really do it on your own continuously? Mm-hmm. But I do want to talk about because on this show we talk a lot about gardening, and we always want to make everything that we do here to the public, to ourselves even, so easy. We
Right.
really go to our audience. You really honestly can do it, and it doesn't take a lot. So can you talk a little bit about some of the benefits of canning? Because for this show, they're canning what they're harvesting, but can you talk about some of the other benefits of canning?
So yeah, so that's obviously a benefit, and I talk about that in my classes. I'll talk about the fact that if you're not growing your own food, definitely you want to tap into your local farmers, right? Or if you have to, your local grocery store, get the best produce that you're able to get your hands on, right? And so some of the benefits of doing that is that you're getting a healthier product, okay? You can pronounce everything that are in these jars. It was your hands, your kitchen, right? And you have control of the ingredients. So a lot of times we buy things and we're fooled by the label. And it still happens to me to this day. Like if you can put a good label in front of me, I'm like, oh, that look nice. That look good. Right? Get it home. It's nothing like the label. It's what you expected. Look on the back of the ingredients. You can barely pronounce anything. And then why is there 60 ingredients to chicken noodle soup? Like, why is there 60 ingredients to it, right? And so that's another ingredient. You have control. You're eating a healthier product. Also, you're saving money if you're doing it right. So what I mean by that is if you are harvesting your own food or you're buying it from the farmer's market or the grocery store, you're getting it in bulk. You're typically going to be able to get it at a more affordable price, even if it's the grocery store. Sometimes, you'll see things at the store, buy one, get one free, buy two, get one free. And a lot of times we see stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, I would get it, but I have nowhere to put it. It's going to go bad before I ever eat it, right? This is where canning comes in. Take advantage of those sales. Take advantage of the farmer's market. Come home and can it, and then you can get ahead of inflation because you buy carrots. Maybe there was a sale, 10 cents a pound, right? You bought as many as you could. You canned it up. You might be able to literally can 6 months of carrots, right?
Right.
Now you're ahead of inflation because the price of carrots is not going to stay 10 cents a pound. Food constantly goes up in price. There's nothing we can do about that. But if you do this on a repeated basis and a consistent basis, you will never be paying for food at the current price. You see what I mean?
Right.
So those are just a few benefits, price, health-wise, convenience. Like for me, convenience. I just love being able to reach over in my pantry and get a couple sides, already made bean soup, things of that nature. Because we know bean soup take a while to make, right?
It does.
So to be able to say, boom, and have yourself some bean soup on a late day, I have late days. I look up 7 p.m. already. I'm like, oh, shoot, what's for dinner, right? There's another benefit, and the list goes on.
Right. And, you mentioned buying in bulk, and it's so good because, we do have opportunities to buy the navy bean in bulk, but it's like the 50-pound bags, And so what one of the things I recommend, I don't have it right at the ready here, but it's in another part of my home, but the Mylar bags. So until you're ready to actually can those beans, you can actually put them in Mylar bags with a little air where tag, you remove the air and store that until you're actually ready to use those beans. And one of the things Sister Melody and I talk about on the show is freezing our food. Sister Melody is excellent at breaking that food all the way down, but we freeze it. So sometimes I'll cook a giant batch of navy beans and stick it in a freezer bag, and you talk about on the ready, in addition to canning, So you're absolutely right. Sister Melody, do you have anything?
Yes, ma'am. I remember the minister mentioned, I know this is not his exact words, but he said Martha Stewart can take, one of these 7 units and become a millionaire weekly. Right. So I believe, sis, what you're doing is like so important nowadays in terms of just sisters. It don't have to be just MGT, but knowing that you can take one of these units and turn it into a business. And then what I wanted to ask you, sister, are you partnered with a local farmer? Because I know when the minister asked us, I had just so happened to be working and managing a garden to where I had all the tomatoes that I needed to put in my own jars. But I know some people don't have that, to do. So are you connected with a local farmer that helps you to, can your food so you can have a fresh? Are you growing? That was my question. Are you growing as well?
I'm not growing in that way. So my growing is very limited, herbs and things of that nature. So the majority of my food comes from my local farmers here. Here in Rochester, we actually have a large public farmers market. It's huge. Good. I mean, it's huge. And so a lot of my produce comes from there, especially like my veggies, carrots, potatoes, green beans, all of my fruits from my jams and jellies.
Mm-hmm. And I, as you mentioned that, sister, I was thinking about, can you tell our audience what you can? Because I think you can even can meat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure can you talk about some of those things? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So you can can things like your fruits and pickled fruits, okay, or pickled veggies. All right. And you can do that using what's called the water bath method, where really all you're doing is boiling your jarred food. Okay. You're submerging in water. Exactly. And that's nothing but a big pot. So I like to tell people, you don't necessarily have to get that, that's an official water bath canner, but it's a pot, right? And most of us have a big pot somewhere with a lid. And so if you have a big pot somewhere with a lid that your jars will fit inside and you'll be able to submerge them in water, then you can do what's called the water bath or boiling method. All right. Mm-hmm. And that method is used for when we're canning high acid foods, typically your fruits. So apples, oranges, plums, or anything that is actually pickled. So where you can make it a high acid food. Okay, so those are your fruits. And then you can do your vegetables, like we mentioned, your beans, any type of legumes. So your navy beans, your black beans, lentils, all of those can be pressure canned because those are low acid foods. Okay, so we got to get the heat at a much higher temperature. And then, like you mentioned, meats. So we're talking about chicken, turkey, salmon. There are quite a few meats that you can can as well. So you can definitely get creative with that. And that would be pressure canned as well. Those are all low acid foods.
And I just want to show them, if I can grab my little pressure, not little, but my pressure canner here. This is an example of a pressure canner. Mm-hmm. And I don't have the top on it. It's in another part of my home. But I just wanted to show them that. And even tell our audience that these pressure canning and water bath canning equipment, everything that goes along with it, you can actually get it on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And also our sister has a beautiful class, which we'll talk about later, that she's going to help us get through this process. So Sister Colette, one of the things that I do want you to talk about, because canning is so much fun when you actually get involved, it is time consuming. It does take some time. But the first thing is that sterilization process. Can you talk to us a little bit about our environment?
So we do, when we're talking about sterilization, one thing is important to make sure that we are canning with clean and sterilized jars. Mm-hmm. And particularly when we're doing the water bath method. Okay. And particularly when we're water bathing anything less than 15 minutes, we definitely want to make sure that our jars are washed and sterilized. And all that means is really to boil our jars for 10 minutes consistently. A nice hard rolling boil. Okay. And so that it's as simple as that, really. Now with our pressure canning, if you're pressure canning, I'm not sure how long it's been, but the Association for Food Preservation has now stated that as long as you're pressure canning something, that heat has been tested to be safe enough to skip the sterilization process. Now, when I first heard that, I was just like, what are you talking about? And it took me a while to even, really accept it. But I had to do my research. And like I said, I would tell people there's no harm in ever sterilizing anything, right? And so I had to wait a minute till I got comfortable with doing that. And then I said, okay. So for me, the only time that I skip the actual sterilization process is if it's brand new jars. You still wash them in soapy hot water, clean them, rinse them well, and then, proceed quarterly. But yeah, you must sterilize your jars when you're water bath canning anything especially if it's under 15 minutes. And then, of course, we want our kitchens to be clean, all of our utensils, our pots, all of that. Cleanliness, cleanliness, cleanliness.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm like you. I'm nervous about that, skipping the sterilization process. So I might keep that one in just to be extra cautious.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned jars. Can you talk to us a little bit about the type of jars that you use? Because you really can't use anything. Some of that stuff will crack. And I'm so glad you touched on really cleaning those jars, because it also allows you to look for cracks that you may not see initially until you actually start washing those jars.
Yes, ma'am. So that is so key. I always tell my students, when you go to start buying your jars, make sure that you're buying canning mason jars, because mason jars are everywhere. Right. People are making candles, they putting flowers in them. Mm-hmm. I love mason jars. You can do so much with mason jar, right? They are amazing. You can drink out of them, whatever. But when it comes to canning, you want to make sure that it is specifically designed for canning so that it will hold up to either the heat and or pressure, okay? Because some, may be kind of thin and they may crack, and you don't want to do all that work and have your jars to crack, okay? Right. So you want to use jars that are definitely designed for canning. The Ball brand is a good brand. The Care brand is good. There are some other brands out there for jars. I believe now makes jars as well. It's called For Jars. So there are some other brands out there. Just make sure that they're actually designed for actually canning.
Right. And you want to make sure also that you buy extra rings and tops, because a lot of times once you're even sterilizing those and you move it from one area to try to put it on top of the canned item, sometimes it'll fall and it hit the ground. So you already have to have some others on the ready for replacement. Because I raised my hand. I've done that a few times.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
So always buy some extras. Sister Melody?
Yes. I, was wondering, Sister, it's so much fun when we're doing it as a class in groups, because then you could get different sisters helping to do different parts of it. And that's the way of us building affinity with one another. And I just think that, what you're doing, sis, is so important for the youth and the younger generation, that I'm hoping that you do online classes. And then another question, I wanted to know, do you remember that website that we use in order to find recipes for that ball thing? Remember that?
Actually, Sister Melody, all the recipes are in our MGT contribution site.
What's that book though we had
the ball canning book, right?
Yeah, ball canning.
Yes, it was the ball. So so now there are quite a few canning books on the market, right? You just want to make sure that you're, try to make sure that you're getting a good one that is filled with tested recipes, right? By and approved recipes from the Food Preservation Association. So the one that we used when we were in class actually was the all new ball book,
right?
For canning and preserving. So this is the one that we actually were recommended to use and that we did refer to in our class. There's a couple that I don't use a lot. This is another one that I use. I use mostly this one for my jelly and jam making. I like this one because it also does some education on dehydrating and proper freezing. I realized that I was freezing my food all wrong. I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize there was an actual way that you should properly freeze your food. And this book really gets into that. So this is, I would recommend this for a beginner for sure. Yes. You asked another question. I think you asked me about the jars. Did you ask me? Oh, classes. Right. You talked about doing things as a group. And so, yes, group canning classes are fun. We get to know one another. It makes it, more engaging. I've been doing actually group classes for going on 5 years now, online even. I do travel sometimes and do workshops, sometimes within the community. I'm invited to go to different cities and states to teach, but a lot of what I do is online. And so you visit my website whenever you have the opportunity and see if one is coming up. You can even book a private class. So maybe you're just like, I just want me and my family to have, this canning class, or me and this sisterhood here, or this community, I do those as well. So, and very successful. You get to stay in your own kitchen, right? Because the thing is this, and I think the reason I find that at first I thought they would be difficult, right? I'm like, how is this going to work? But actually they're quite successful. And I believe it's because you're in your own kitchen.
Right.
There's something to be said about that. It's one thing to go somewhere and learn something somewhere. And then you get home and you're looking around like, wait, what am I supposed to, where does the pot go? I'm not sure where I should put stuff, right? So it's a whole different experience when you're home doing it. With no one there, right? So it's just you in the kitchen. This way, you're in your kitchen and you're getting guidance from me at the same time. So I think that's what makes it successful.
Yes. And I also want to say also, Sister Rashida, again, I had the pleasure of meeting an MGT that I'm still in communication with, a farmer, because I put in a proposal to do a canning class at the Bugs conference, and they accepted it. So they really accept us introducing canning almost wherever you want to go. So if any one of us want to, do a small canning class, they usually accept it, and they accept me. And to this day, me and Sister B are friends from that class that I did.
Mm-hmm. Praise be to Allah. This is wonderful news, especially for our audience. So, Sister Colette, I'm going to put your flyer back up again because I really want us to tap into your canning classes in our audience. So if you could please put that flyer back up. And while the flyer is up, Sister Colette, I want to ask you, how long does the food stay safe in those jars once we do can?
So that's probably my second number one question, or number two question.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, this is the thing. It's not so much like how long does it last or when does it expire. What it really is best by. So when you go into a store, you'll see a best by date. Right. So what they're really telling you is that it would be best if you consumed it by this date. It doesn't mean that do not eat it past this date, but it's best. So it's the same way with your home canned food. There is a kind of a best by situation. So let's just say you can something. Say I can these green beans. These green beans are going to be best when consumed within the first 18 months. Okay, so if you consume these within the first 18 months, you're going to pretty much get the best out of this product. What would happen after 18 months? Some things that could possibly happen. Maybe they will not be as bright green as they are right now. Color might over time start to fade. Possibly the texture might start to break down, may not be as firm as they once were. Taste could possibly change. Sometimes the taste actually enhances. So like say if it was a soup or something, the taste sometimes enhances, okay? And it's possible that you could lose nutritional value. So, start to. It doesn't mean like instantly when you hit the 18 months that all these things happen. These are the things that could start to eventually happen going forward, okay? So this is why it's best to consume it within that time and then replace it with the fresh batch. However, there are definitely people that have their home canned food stored away for much longer than that. So that is like the best buy date. Within the first 18 months, you should be you'll get the best out of your home canned food.
Outstanding. And believe it or not, sisters, we are again at the end of our show. It goes fast. So, Sister Colette, we are definitely going to have everyone or ask everyone to tap into your training classes. And I do want to talk about our show today. It is on the Closing the Gap Broadcast Network. And you can support the show by donating to Cash App, $CTG Broadcast, PayPal, jkingdom1@aol.com. And also you can pay via Zelle at Closing the Gap. So again, we are so excited to have our sister. I wish we had more time. Sister Colette, are you open to coming back so we can get into a little bit more detail about canning, specifically one show, pressure canning, and another show on the water bath canning. I definitely like to talk to you a little bit more. And my son is flashing all the information that you need across the screen. Again, if you all have questions for Sister Colette, please reach out to her directly. So can you put everybody back on the screen? All right. There we go. There we go. There we go. Thank you again. Sister Melody, any closing remarks?
Well, I just want to, again, thank you so much. It was wonderful just having you. And, I could feel your passion. And that's the beautiful thing, when people can feel your passion, because it seemed like you really enjoy what you're doing. All praises to Allah.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, audience, for joining us. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.